Hello and welcome to the SME Focus show powered by MTDCNC. I'm Mark Weymouth from the Sensor Specialist Plus Automation. On this week's show, as always, we aim to highlight aspects of UK manufacturing or topics of interest to SMEs. Therefore, today my guest is Emma Hockley, Managing Director of Big Bear Plastics. Despite the cuddly name, Big Bear is not a toy company, but a manufacturer of technical thermoformed plastic components. From visiting Big Bear many years ago, I also remember this as being carved rooftop boxes, but most memorably the front and rear moulded ends of caravans. Hi Emma, welcome to SME Focus.
Hi Mark, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on, it's much appreciated, and I think you have the benefit of working for quite an intriguing company making things that nobody thinks of as being manufactured, so I appreciate you coming on and hopefully telling us a lot more about them.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much for inviting me to participate.
Okay. I've been trawling through LinkedIn as I usually do for this show, and it tells me that maybe unusually for some of the people I've spoken to, you've got a degree in English Lit and also Spanish. So I'm hoping for some very eloquent answers.
As long as you're not expecting the answers in Spanish.
Well, I'll just be nodding and waiting for a beer to arrive as you start talking to me in Spanish. But yeah.
That was quite a long time ago, that degree.
I can imagine, but I'm not allowed to say such things. No, sorry, that's not what I mean. Also looking at LinkedIn, perhaps more unusually, you've really had two big sort of careers, two lumps of your career path. Big Bear for the past 11 and a half years, which is really what we're going to talk about. But what caught my eye before that was Harrods. So can I kick off, before talking about manufacturing, actually ask you for some reflections on Harrods in the noughties?
Oh yes, the world's most famous corner shop. Yeah, well, I had a great time at Harrods. I worked there. It was my first job after university, and I started in the PR team, and I progressed to buyer for the perfumery and cosmetics division, which at the time was about £58 million turnover when I was running it. And the store was an amazing place to work. It was full of retail. It was all about retail theatre. We used to have celebrities come in to launch their fragrances, and it was a really fun place to be. But it was very hard work as well. It was a very strict regimen there. You had to work in a certain way, but it was a very high standard was expected of the staff. But it taught me a huge amount. I had very inspiring women bosses there who taught me a lot. We learnt, customer service, of course, but creating an experience for the customer, negotiating with our brand partners and suppliers to ensure we had the best product to offer, the exclusive things that you could only find at Harrods. People come to Harrods, they expect to find something that they don't find in any other store. Right. So it was all about making sure that we had the most beautiful product, the most expensive product, but equally things that actually people wanted to buy. It wasn't just about the highest price point, but it was important that we obviously offered that as well. So, but it was a great environment in terms of, the everyday. I mean, my shop floor has changed quite a lot since those days when I, used to walk around in my high heels and on my shop floor with beautiful white cosmetics counters, and now I have to put on my safety shoes and a high vis to go on the shop floor. So it's a very different environment, that's for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't, it certainly stood out when I was looking at your LinkedIn. I couldn't think of more, I don't know whether to say extremes, because Big Bear isn't a dirty metal bashing factory. It's a nice, clean, modern, but it's a big difference from Harrods to manufacturing. So I'm sure that'll people will find that interesting.
It is very different, but of course, a lot of the lessons that I learned about customer service, about supporting people and working together as a team, certainly lessons that I've carried over to Big Bear as well.
Brilliant. So in each episode, I normally pick a musical reference point to either leave an annoying earworm in people's minds, or to maybe put a tag on something important in time. So obviously for yourself, I've picked the point when you moved to Big Bear. So that was August 2014. And having looked for the number one for 2 weeks, it was Am I Wrong by the Norwegian duo Nico and Vince. I've no recollection of that. Even listening to the music, I've no recollection of it. So I will say that at number 4, Taylor Swift with Shake It Off had just entered. So if you want a musical earworm to frustrate the rest of your day or distract you for the rest of the day, think of Taylor Swift.
Well, yeah, that's not hard for me because I have a 12-year-old daughter. So Taylor Swift is quite a regular in my house.
Excellent. So manufacturing. Can I kick off by asking you about the history of Big Bear and also Gerald Bloom, which I guess is a name pretty familiar with people from the West Midlands with an automotive background in particular. So can you tell us the history, please?
Well, so Gerald Bloom is my father. Gerald Bloom founded Midland Industrial Plastics, or MIP, many years ago now, and he founded that completely himself. He built his first machines himself, and he grew that to be a major tier 1 supplier to the automotive industry, employing about 1,000 people across several different sites in the West Midlands. And that company was acquired in 1998 by a big American company called Textron. And following that, he decided he would retain the vacuum forming machines and set up another plastic molding company. And so in 1998, he founded Big Bear Plastic Products Limited, which is what we are now. It's a much smaller company than MIP was, different customer base, really. MIP was very automotive focused, whereas Big Bear tends not to focus so much on automotive. But yeah, it's and it's nice that my dad's still here and still around, and actually some of the people who used to work for him at MIP are still at Big Bear, and have been with my dad for a long time. And
can I ask you what differentiates the company, maybe to describe a bit more what the product base is? I know it's quite diverse and some of your customers are diverse, but maybe if you can give some examples of the big products and maybe also the diversity that you cover.
Yeah, I think in terms of what differentiates us, there's 2 elements, and certainly on the capability side, what differentiates us is probably the size of parts that we manufacture. We are renowned for manufacturing large components. We have machines that can mold up to sort of 3.5 meters, which is pretty big. So make big sort of heavy duty parts. But equally, our technical expertise in terms of molding different types of materials, different plastics. So yes, we do very heavy gauge thermoforming, but equally we mold a lot of very technical plastic products, very lightweight product, for example, for the aerospace industry. So we do have that thermoforming expertise to be able to mold materials that perhaps other thermoformers aren't able to. But in terms of what also sets us apart is probably our people, and the atmosphere that we have at Big Bear. Being a family-owned business, we do pay a lot of attention to our team, and we look after people, and we're nice people to deal with, and we deliver good service to our customers. And most of our customers we've worked with for many, many years, and we like to foster and nurture good relationships with both our customers and our suppliers, really. That's really important to us. So yeah, we're an important local manufacturer here in the West Midlands, in Droitwich, where we're based. We employ about 80 people on our site, and we offer a full service from prototyping through to production, manufacture and assembly.
Okay. I feel almost a fraud doing this interview over the internet when there's only around 5 miles separating us. I've always known sort of where Big Bear is, and occasionally I remember I see the address, and the address is Fantastic Works, which also catches my mind and makes me smile. So can you, for once and for all, tell me what's the story behind the name of Fantastic Works?
Well, apart from the fact that obviously we're fantastic, I think that was my dad having a bit of fun after many years in the automotive industry, and him setting up Big Bear. And people always say to me, "Oh, where does the name Big Bear come from?" Because it is, it's quite a unique name.
Yeah.
but it is memorable. So I think he knew what he was doing with that, because he said to his technical director that he was setting the company up with the time, we need to come up with a name. And the technical director sort of said, okay, and came back with a few, I think, quite dry suggestions, like ABC Plastics or Thermoforming Limited or something. And my dad sort of said, no one will remember that. We'll call it Big Bear. And he just likes bears. So we've got if you come here, you'll see a few bears around the place, not real ones. Yeah, it's just a fun name that people do remember. So I think he was right on that front.
Brilliant. Your initial role with the company was as sales and marketing director, and you talked about Harrods and the sort of the marketing, buying, product merchandising element of that. So can I ask you, looking back on the marketing side, really first some of your thoughts about marketing within an SME? The primary audience for this podcast really is addressing SMEs, and I think we probably all face the challenge at times of how do we make time for marketing? How do we find enough money for marketing? How do we follow through? So can I ask for your thoughts as more of an expert on marketing than probably many of us?
Oh, well, thank you for that. I'm not sure if that's true, but well, first of all, when I first started at Big Bear, it certainly wasn't as the sales and marketing director. It was just a sort of bod in the sales team. And I came in and, worked on the website and things like that. So I had to work my way up to be sales director. And then managing director. But I do think it's challenging marketing. I mean, having come from a world where you've got a product that's all about the marketing. That my boss at Harrods used to say, we're selling hope in a jar. So, and then I found it quite challenging to go from that, where, you're talking about the packaging and you create a whole campaign around, a bottle of perfume or a jar of cream or something like that, to a product where I think there's traditionally been a bit of a fear in manufacturers that, you want to kind of keep that information to yourself, and you feel like if you're you don't want to overshare potentially with a competitor or give too much information away. And I think it's trying to find that balance between telling your story and sharing what you're doing and shouting about what you're doing, because you want people to know what your capabilities are, but equally you don't really want to say too much, because then you're worried that, oh, is they going to copy us, or is something, we're going to give away too much? Perhaps are you going to say sensitive information about a customer that the customer might not appreciate you sharing that information? So I do think sometimes it is quite challenging. But I think also that we as manufacturers are starting to embrace the marketing picture a lot more wholeheartedly. I mean, if you look at LinkedIn, you now see a lot from manufacturing companies just sort of talking in a more relaxed way about what they're doing and sharing little stories and snippets from their production lines or from their people. And I think for me as well, people is a really hugely important part of it. Certainly at Big Bear, that's a big story that we share about what we're up to and what we're doing with our people, as well as with our product. Yeah. And actually we've just started working with a new marketing agency, because I think we've come to the realization that we are good at what we do, and we do need to tell people about it, and we can't keep keeping it to ourselves.
Okay. I guess, or a challenge I sort of recognise is it's a delight to have a wide range of customers and serve a diverse range of applications. But from a marketing perspective, that can be the biggest challenge there is, that you're trying to communicate to very different audiences. Is that an issue that you have yourself? Is it something you've thought addressed and got any recommendations on? I guess I'm looking for you to solve my headache. How do you communicate to a wide and diverse customer base?
I think that's definitely a challenge. I think that comes with pros and cons to having a wide selection of sectors that you work with, because obviously on the one hand you don't have that sort of all eggs in one basket type challenge, but then on the other hand it can create challenges in terms of productivity and efficiency, not just for marketing purposes. Yeah. Excuse me, sorry. I haven't coughed in months, but now I'm on a podcast. I've decided to have a coughing fit. So yeah, I think it's it is difficult, but I think if you're telling a story about what you offer in terms of service, and that relates to any product, that you're going to deliver on time, that you're going to give the customer a good quality product when they want it, that we work with the customer to really establish and understand the requirements and what they need, and use our expertise in molding whatever product it might be to put that expertise to that product, to ask the right questions, to make sure the customer understands, any limitations, manage their expectation in terms of, well, maybe it's not going to look exactly like what you think it's going to look like. I think that's important, not to overpromise, not to tell them that they're going to get something that you think maybe it's not going to be, and just be honest, and that's really important to us as well. And helping the customer to get to the product that they want.
So I saw an article in the Manufacturing magazine about your £2 million investment. So I guess that's a testament to the marketing that it was in the Manufacturing magazine, but much harder as the managing director. You've got to deliver this £2 million investment, and I'm sure there's good logic behind it. So can you tell us a little bit more about what it's for, what you're investing in, and the history and what it's going to bring you?
Yes, well, we want to invest in the business going forward. We recognise the need to keep up with new technology, and we want to continue to upgrade the business as we go forward. And so we identified that there was some kit that really needed a bit of an update. And with the influx of work that we were getting at that time after COVID, we needed to invest in some new machines. So we have invested in 2 new CNC cutting machines, and a new twin-headed water jet machine, and a new cutting robot as well as other aspects of the business, such as a new ERP system, and we've continued to invest in our team as well.
Okay. Do you have much automation in the business already, or was the robot the first sort of big step into it? How automated are you at the minute?
Well, we have a number of 5-axis CNC cutting machines, and obviously the mold machines. But in terms of robots, then probably the water jet was our first foray into that, and then subsequently the cutting robot that we bought for a specific job that we felt would be best served by this machine, which turned out to be the case. It's been very successful for us.
Okay. And you mentioned investment into sort of ERP. Is that a general just a development in the business, or are you trying to achieve something different? Is it a step change or an improvement, I guess I'm asking? And I'll probably tag on to that, as our audience is sort of SMEs and everybody's facing this challenge of AI, and what can we do with AI, and can we do anything with AI? Can I ask you to bundle the two together and say the purpose behind the ERP, and are you doing anything with AI?
So, oh gosh, everyone's talking about AI, aren't they, at the moment? You go to any event and that's, it's like top of the agenda, AI, and you kind of get, oh my God, what should I be doing with AI? I must do something with it. And I think that's definitely a challenge for us, and I think for other SMEs as well, in like hearing all this talk about AI and feeling that kind of pressure, like we should be using it, but not really having the knowledge to know what to do with it and how to do it. And I mean, I think as we're starting to understand it a bit more, and I've been to a few sort of workshops now, and I'm going to another one next week, just to try and learn a little bit more about it. I mean, I'm very untechnical myself, but I'm just sort of trying to understand what it can do in terms of, how can we start to dip our toe into the AI pond, if you like. And we have managed to identify a few projects that we think actually that could work quite well. And we're looking at, how should we execute that in terms of, do we bring in somebody who knows more about AI than we do to help us do that? What are the options out there to introduce AI in a sort of low-key way, probably certainly more on the administrative office-based side rather than the factory side at the moment, but I'm sure that, you know, as the technology evolves and becomes probably more user friendly, that's something that we'll look to do going forward. And we just implemented a new ERP system. We've never had a digital system before. We were always spreadsheet based, and I think we just felt that we were at a point in our growth and size that we needed to, you know, get into the next century. And so we did install an ERP program in July. Excuse me.
I think my experience of any business installing an ERP system, that's usually a big mountain for them to climb and get over. So if you
it was, and it took a lot of work, but I think the work that we put in up front definitely saved a lot of pain on the other end. We actually worked very closely with Made Smarter, who supported us quite heavily, and WMG, Warwick Manufacturing Group, were very helpful as well, particularly in terms of mapping out our process and helping us to identify a provider that was suitable for what we required. And yes, it was quite a lot of work, but I think a testament to its success has been that none of our customers actually noticed that we did it. So we said, we told them we were doing it, of course, and afterwards we said that we put it in, and they sort of said, "Oh, did you?" And we took that as a good sign, because obviously they hadn't noticed any issue or anything like that, and there wasn't anything really bad. I mean, obviously we're still. I think one of the biggest challenges with anything like this is getting your people on board with it and getting them to embrace it and not fear it, and to work with it. And trying anything new, it can always be difficult, but I think most of our team really now can see that it is a benefit, and and the reason for it being there, and it's not there to sort of check them or monitor them in any sort of negative way. It's to help us do our jobs better.
Okay.
And easier.
So, sort of wrapping things up a little bit, can I ask how you found 10 years working in manufacturing as a female leader, where you've not come from an engineering background yourself? You said earlier, "Oh, I'm not very technical," which I think in many ways is probably a great advantage, because you don't get my weakness as an engineer is I spend too much time looking at the amazingly interesting, intricate detail of something and not having the big picture. So I'm quite envious in many ways. But how did you find life, let's say, as a female leader and not the engineering background? So how did it work for you?
Well, I think like anything, there's pros and cons, isn't there? Whereas you'll say, "Oh, it could be an advantage." For me, I felt it was a disadvantage, because, like you say, you're an engineer, you can question things, and for me, I felt very dependent on the people around me to give me the right information, because it was difficult for me to question what I was being told, because I was not being an engineer and not having that background. And especially when I first started, I found it difficult to challenge, not just because of the information, but because of my position in the company. And I felt very conscious of where I'd come from and how I'd come into the business. And, a serious case of imposter syndrome definitely has afflicted me for a while. I think I'm starting to get over that now, but it's definitely lurking. But, I think just being having the confidence not to accept, well, this is how it is, as an answer, and to challenge the reasons that you're given, and to just push back a little bit, to just dig a little deeper, and really understand, as tedious as that may be for some of my team when I'm asking these questions. I think that's been a big learning for me, is not just accepting, well, that's how it is. And I think what's been great for me is building my own team around me as the years have gone by, and I've become more sort of stable in my position and grown into the role myself, and starting to establish my own team and building colleagues around me who support me and support the business, and who I do trust to give me good information and help me to make the right decisions.
Brilliant. Well, I mean, that sort of sums up leadership, doesn't it? That's what we all aspire to have that team around us and to enjoy working with that team. And
yeah, very much so. And I definitely feel that, we've got to a really strong place now with the senior team that we have in Big Bear. We all work really closely together. We're a very united team, and that makes such a huge difference to your day-to-day, just your general enjoyment of coming to work. If you're with people that you actually like, it does help.
This show is probably most often watched at the weekend as it goes out on a Saturday morning. So can I ask you what topic you would like, you're more likely to be talking to somebody about at the weekend, whether it's in the kitchen at a party, whether it's doing the mum duty of dropping the daughter off somewhere and then talking to other grown-ups who are all standing around the same sports pitch or whatever. So what sort of things do you talk about when you're not on a computer talking to strange people like me?
Well, if I'm in the kitchen, if I'm at a party, I'll try not to be in the kitchen. Doesn't sound like a very good party. But I don't know. I'm a mum. I've got 2 kids. My son's 13. My daughter's just turned 12. So I think that's pretty all-encompassing. So that's my life outside of work. Really, is them. Probably just, as you say, like running around, dropping people off, or picking people up, or washing sports kits and things like that. It's hard to do everything. One minute you're managing director and you're trying to be the boss and all this stuff, and then you've got to go home and do laundry and stuff. So it is hard, I think, as a working mum to balance. And I know all women find it equally difficult. It's not easy, but it's keeps us busy, right?
Yeah, definitely. The other tradition on the show is to ask, what do you have planned, or what do you hope to achieve in the next 12 months? And that can be in any arena. So what would you like the next 12 months to look like?
I think we've worked really hard over the last couple of years to stabilize the business. We've done the investment, and we want to continue that. And I think now is the time to really focus on growth. We've just employed a new business development manager. We're really looking to secure new business, and that's our big focus for this year, generating new opportunities, working closely with our supply partners on new materials to bring new innovation to our customers, and to really just to consolidate where we are, which is a positive position, and to build on that now and to take Big Bear forward. And that's why we're really talking about Big Bear a lot more, starting to tell our story and just shout about what we're doing a bit and be proud of who we are and what we're doing. I think I was always a little bit fearful of that. I think that's my imposter syndrome rearing its head there of, we'll wait till we're X to be able to do some PR, or we'll wait till we're doing this, or we'll wait, and then I kind of realized, well, why not start doing it? We're doing a great job. Our customers are happy with us. The factory looks great. We've got good people around us. Let's start shouting about what we're doing now. What are we waiting for here? We're doing well. So yeah, I think sometimes it's a bit scary to do anything new, isn't it? It's a bit of a stepping out of the comfort zone is never easy, but I'm kind of pushing myself to do things like this, and talk about me and talk about the company, because I think we deserve that. I think we've worked so hard to get to where we are that we should share the story of what we're doing.
Yeah, very much so. I think the company's got a good reputation. I think the challenge for SMEs is they think, well, we're not Rolls-Royce, we're not Airbus, we're not a car company. People don't know what we make, and we're not as interesting as this car company. But you say the business has got a good reputation, makes good product, works hard, and hopefully shows like this, and you mentioned LinkedIn, hopefully there's a community of people who are actually interested in listening. And I think
I think there's a great community for SMEs, and we're a member of Made in the Midlands, and when you go to these events and other SME events, for me, yes, we talk about all the things that are going on, but for me, the biggest takeaway from those events is normally that feeling of solidarity, because I think sometimes, you're in your own bubble and you think, oh my gosh, and you've got these challenges and problems going on the day to day. There's always a drama, there's always something. And you kind of tend to think, oh, is it us? Is it just me? But when you talk to other people, you realize that actually everybody has the same challenges. Everybody's got problems with this, that, and the other. And it's very nice to hear that, you're not alone, and that generally the challenges that you're experiencing are shared with other companies around the place. It's not just me.
Very much so.
Quite comforting.
How would people go about finding out more about Big Bear then? How would they maybe contact you or follow yourself?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, Emma Hockley, and can follow us on LinkedIn, Big Bear. You should start to see a lot more engaging content coming from Big Bear over the next sort of weeks and months. So keep your eyes peeled.
Okay. So before I sign off and say thanks, do you have a final sentence, question, observation, or thought that you want to sign off the episode with?
Well, I'll share a couple with you, because I think I do owe it to my dad to reference him here, because I do feel very fortunate that I've had his guidance and the ability to work with him. And yes, sometimes we have our moments, but generally we do get on well, and I feel very lucky to have had this opportunity with him. And he's always given me very good advice over the years, and there's always things that stay with me. Like, he's got these sort of sayings, and one of them, which I think is really valuable, is the quality of the result is equal to the quality of the instruction. He's always said to me, there's no use blaming somebody if they've done something wrong. It's your fault because you haven't taught them what to do properly. And then the second one, which of course is his all-time favorite, is make it happen. So that's what he's always tells me I need to have. He says, on your forehead, make it happen. I think he would have actually branded it on there if he could have. But yeah, definitely make it happen is his phrase, and one that I've adopted myself.
I'm not sure if that's either one of the most inspired answers I've heard, or I'm going to go away from this episode thinking, wow, your childhood must have been hard. But
well, no, I was very lucky. I had a very nice childhood. I didn't get into this manufacturing game till quite late in the day, so I avoided it for quite some time, which was lucky.
Okay, brilliant. Well, I'll say thank you very much for being a guest, Emma. It's a pleasure to have you on, and it's nice also to have a female leader in manufacturing as the first guest of SME Focus in 2026. So I think, as well as you shouting about the company, it will also be good this year to see more sort of evidence and presence of a woman leading a manufacturing company. So that's nice to see. So thank you very much for being a guest.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I will wrap up with the usual words as well, that if you'd like to get in touch with the show with a comment, a suggestion, and in particular if you'd like to appear in a future episode, please email us at inquiries@mtdcnc.com or contact myself, Stuart Whitehead, or Joe Reynolds. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. From me, Mark Weymouth at the Sensor Specialist Plus Automation. Cheers. Have fun.